Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Interplanetary Chase on Kerbal Space Program. In today's episode we're going to be making a few modifications to our science flyer. Reason being is because based on the last episode we lacked both thrust and structural integrity. It wasn't exactly the most manoeuvrable either. Now in the last episode we did unlock some brand new retractable landing gears which we're definitely going to be using. However, at this point I'm trying to determine what the best layout would be for a few more engines, because like I said we did lack some thrust, which inevitably led to a few crashes. Thankfully we didn't lose any Kerbals. Our space frogs are very much alive and well. Now as you can see I'm thinking maybe some side-mounted engines here, and I was thinking of maybe making some swept wings using the C wings, the structural wing type Cs, until I realised that the swept wings we were using actually produced more lift as a singular part, which saves us on both part count and, well, obviously efficiency. So, once again, we're going to make things a bit lighter. We've got a couple of engines on the wings here with some fuel tanks. Going to put some mystery goo there, some inline mystery goo containers, some intakes, which takes us up to a nice 4 engines, and obviously we're going to offset them slightly inside just to tidy things up a bit. Going to put on some control surfaces, some ailerons, in order to aid with agility, and I think that is looking rather nice. Like I said, we did make this aircraft a little bit lighter as well. We've taken away one of the fuel tanks and replaced it with a structural fuselage. And we're just going to angle those wings upwards slightly to aid with lift, as it would kind of add a bit of a natural angle of attack, so to speak, because obviously wings without an angle of attack are a little bit useless. Now, landing gear time. Once again, we have retractable ones, nice and strong compared to the ones we were using. One of those under the cockpit, and a couple obviously under the engine nacelles. Going to offset them backwards slightly to make it look like they're supposed to be there, like so. And also we're going to put one on the tail, because this aircraft, as you may or may not have seen, very much likes a tail strike. I was thinking of putting some canards there, but we didn't have enough room. But ultimately that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Oh yeah, we didn't put an antenna on because we need to transmit science. There we go. Right, now, Jebediah seems to have stuck into the cockpit again, but that's fine. Because in last episodes, obviously on the final mission we did get some science from the shores of Kerbin. However, they got destroyed on landing, and I don't think we actually collected any of that in the end, so we're going to put the brakes on here. Obviously we're going to get Jed to do some experiments here, EVA reports, surface sample, collect those experiments, and that takes us up to, well, a little bit more science there. No new ribbons for Jed, but that's fine. Now, we've got Lido Kerman, one of the new hires in the cockpit now. And we're going to try and fly over to the mountains here. Now, I've seriously accelerated this footage here because you've seen me do it in the last episodes. It's not really much different this time around, other than the fact that, you know, it will be a little bit quicker with our new engine layout, and hopefully a bit more of a smoother flight, given that, you know, we've actually made some efforts to make this thing a bit more manoeuvrable. So we get a nice little view there. Lovely. Already going supersonic. Now, Science Alert is always telling me here that I can do a crew report, not a crew report, sorry, but an EVA report. I think there's a time and a place, because if Lido falls out of the cockpit while she does so, I imagine that would be an absolute PR nightmare, so we're not going to do that here. But what we are going to do is we're going to try and look for a suitable landing place here for us to perform some of our science experiments. Now, I was thinking of landing in this valley here, but ultimately that doesn't leave us with anywhere to take off, which isn't exactly fantastic. Same applies to this one, and we're running out of room very quickly, so we have to abort that, and it's not the most smooth surface either. Now, I do decide to land on this mountain side here. Problem is, it is at a bit of a roll, but assuming we can hold it and keep our experiments intact, and we might be able to recover some science as we pop the drag chutes there, lose one of our wings, lose the other wing, and inevitably roll over. But that doesn't matter because the fuselage is alright, and obviously the fuselage contains all of our science experiments. We do material study, EVA report, surface sample, lovely, and all the mystery goos, all that good stuff. So we take a look at the service bay. Atmospheric pressure scan. All of these don't seem to be netting much science. We're going to collect all we've got at the moment, recover that vessel, and that takes us up to a nice total of 39 science points. Lovely stuff. Now, go to the next page. Lido ready for our next assignment, and Lido's got a few ribbons, being Research 1, Kerbin Surface EVA, 4,000 meter mountain lander, and G-Force 5. Lovely stuff. Okay, now it's at this point that I kind of see the monolith over by the KSC, and I'm wondering maybe we should get the plane over there to see what we can find. As Jebediah once again tries to sneak his way into the cockpit. However, I do see that there's a few different airfields we could launch from. I don't think we've got anything from a desert biome yet, so we're going to pop Lido over here and see what we can find in terms of some science. So mystery goo, material study, wonderful, EVA report, surface sample, get back in, collect all the science, and recover. They're still taking us up to a funny total of 69. Wonderful. Lido's got another ribbon, being the engineer service ribbon. Awarded 20 Kerbal for completing at least a single mission as an engineer. And obviously we're going to go over to the desert again, because we only seem to have got some science from the desert airstrip there, and we actually want some from the biome itself. Okay, Lido, here we go. Throttle up, and off we go. Nice serene flights here. I can't tell if this is sunrise or sunset. Doesn't particularly matter though, because as long as we find our way to the ground in one piece, you know, it's easy to find your way to the ground in this game. As to whether your aircraft is intact is a different story entirely. No matter though, I'm going to do a crew report, and I keep it, but I realise, hold on a minute, I can transmit that and not lose anything, which means we can overwrite it eventually. So we're going to transmit that data back to the KSC, and that has been completed. So we are slowly increasing our altitude here, 10-degree climb, accelerating rather quickly considering our kind of data level, our science level on this particular aircraft. I'm very pleased with how it's turned out, I must say, as we get a very nice little screenshot here. Not too sure what the camera's doing, but doesn't matter. Right, going to time accelerate here just to get away from the airfield a little bit. And looking at the world map here, we can see we are going quite quick. So we get to around 5,000 metres and begin a descent. Just looking for a sensible place to land our aircraft here. Slowly turning. Maybe after this ridge. I could try and do it before, but I don't think we would manage to stop in time. Here we go, gear down, and looking for a nice flat spot. Looks like we found one. Hello cactus. Brakes on, and we're going to pop the drag chutes just before we touch down here. Like so. Bit bouncy, however we do not flip, and we managed to keep the aircraft in one piece this time. Success! Deploy all experiments here, mystery goo observation, material study, wonderful, EVA report, surface sample. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to board the aircraft once again. Obviously we've already done the material studies, so I'm wanting to try something here. I don't know if we get any more science from doing so, but I'm repeating experiments that we've already done. Because obviously we've got 4 mystery goo containers. So yeah, we'll see if we can possibly not exploit that, but let's say get a more accurate average from our experiments, so to speak. As we take a look at our thermometers here, try not to overwrite any existing data. Wonderful. Want to close that bay, now we've done that. Shut down the engines. Lido looking very happy down there. Collect all, and ultimately recover vessel, taking us up to 103 science points. Very good. Look at all the experiments we've done. Now, it does look like some of them netted us 0.0, so I'm inclined to say that repeating science may not be the best idea. We do have a few more ribbons being researched too. And Mach 1 ribbon, as expected. This aircraft is, like I say, very fast for its tech level. Can't complain. Right, into R&D we go here. Now, I think we're getting to that point where Kerbin is running dry on possible things to do. We could try going polar at some point. Obviously, we haven't done much in terms of orbital experiments yet, because we've only made it to low Kerbin orbit. If I remember correctly, that was around 90 kilometers. So I'm not sure if we would have got everything up there yet. But point is, as per the name of this series, it's about time that we start looking to go to other planets and possibly moons. So I'm assessing our options here. Space exploration, we're looking at a few interesting parts. Advanced landing, well, we've already got landing legs, so I don't think that's strictly necessary. Advanced aerodynamics gives us helicopter engines, so if we visit any other planets with atmospheres and we could possibly build drones, that'd be cool. Having said that, we need to get our vehicles to said planets first, and in order to do so, we need either advanced rocketry or better fuel systems, and we decide on the latter there, giving us some nice big tanks along with some fuel ducts and some engine nacelles. Now, other planets, it's funny we should mention that, isn't it? Remember this thing, the Mark 1C, the hopper as it was? Well, I think it would make quite an interesting design for a lander. So, we're going to try putting something together that I've not done yet. We're going to try and make a low tech level lander. And I think ultimately we're going to send it to the closest planet, as our tech level would kind of suggest, being the moon. And we are going to see what we can achieve here. So, we've kind of got the top stage, made it a bit smaller, put some landing legs on there. We're putting together our bit of a chunky ascent stage right now. I'm not too sure on what engines we should really be using here, because once again we don't exactly have many options, but ultimately I think we do decide on the Poodle and Miss Skipper. We're going to put a nice boat tail on that, make sure everything's auto-strutted together as to not schedule a rapidly unplanned disassembly there. Wonderful. Make sure that's all nice and secure. Perfect. Right, so before we continue here, we need to make sure our staging is all good. And I don't think our thrust to weight is necessarily fantastic, so we should probably think about putting some boosters on this thing. So having a look at some solid rocket boosters, seeing what options we have. Let's put a nice little nose cone on there, make sure that's all nice and auto-strutted. Now remember, we don't have separatrons, which means but as it stands, we need to angle our boosters outwards slightly as to encourage them away from the vessel while we decouple and make sure they don't come back and hit us like they did previously. Now, given the complexity of this mission, I did decide to put a launch escape tower on here and radially, better yet, mount some parachutes to the command pods, just in case anything goes wrong. And obviously we're binding the launch tower and the cupola decoupler there to the abort function if we have to use it. Hopefully not. We will wait and see. Now we're going to take Munrik for this because, well, as per his name, I think it's about time that Munrik tries to live up to his prophecy, right? As we make some finishing touches here, going to put on some fins to help stabilise our ascents, and obviously we're going to put on some cranes here and see what happens. So, Munrik is ready to go. However, we do have a material study to do from a launch pad, so we're actually going to abort this particular launch. We're going to do that material study just for a little bit more science. We're 7.5. We're going to keep that experiment and recover the rockets. There we go. Munrik is ready to go. Has another ribbon, being the multiple missions ribbon. We'll have that. And we are going to once again put Mumrick in because Jebediah always seems to try to sneak his way into the cockpit. Anyway, Mumrick is ready to go, and up we go. Now, at first glance, I thought this thing would go a little bit quicker. Reason being is because obviously the higher we get, the thinner the atmosphere, and the higher up we go, the less fuel we have, which means the lighter we are, which means the faster we can go, hopefully. However, the SRBs along with the skipper engine don't seem to be amazing at getting us to where we need to be. I mean, this is with accelerated footage, obviously, so you can just imagine how I thought this was going to go initially. To decouple the boosters there, successful separation, and all seems to be well for now. Although we do seem to be decelerating, which is not fantastic given our current situation. So we're kind of going to continue our ascent here and hope we can start accelerating. Now, obviously, we are beginning a very, very shallow gravity turn here, and according to our surface speed we are accelerating, but I'm not sure if we're accelerating upwards or if we're accelerating horizontally, and given we're doing a gravity turn, I'm inclined to say it's the latter, which isn't ideal because we need to obviously breach our apoapsis of 70 kilometers before we can really think about any orbital maneuvers. Now here I'm actually wondering if we're even going to make it to orbit, because we use so much fuel trying to leave the thicker part of Kerbin's atmosphere here, to the point where I'm not sure if we're going to make it. Our main lifting stage is just about to run out of fuel. We're going to decouple that, and we're now in our transfer stage, so to speak. And ideally we would already be out of Kerbin's atmosphere having to use this. So I'm having my doubts about this mission, and I think we may possibly need to redesign the rocket here. So we're going to cut off the engine here, and we're going to hit the abort button, and Mumrick is successfully away from the lifting vehicle. Now we need to make sure he gets back to Kerbin alright. Otherwise, the redesigned rocket isn't going to have a pilot. Well, at least it will, but I think Mumrick, it's kind of meant to be that he ends up on the moon. I mean, his name kind of is a good indicator of that. Now, a bit of a disaster on the descent here. The launch tower acts as a nose cone, and the cupola flips, which means we have no control and are currently accelerating during our descent. So Mumrick, I think it's time for you to bail. Down he goes, and looks like the cupola's darting down towards the sea as we take the opportunity to do a little crew report. Mumrick looks very intrigued in his little flipping freefall here. 2 kilometres, 1 kilometre, and we're shortly going to be pulling the parachute. There we go. As Mumrick slowly drifts his way back down into the oceans of Kerbin here. I'm just pleased that he's still around and will live to fly another day, as we try to give him the softest landing possible. No promises. Just make sure he doesn't splash down too hard. And into the drink he goes. Wonderful stuff. Right, so we're going to recover Mumrick here as we auto-save. No science earned, obviously, but Mumrick is still around. He's got a ribbon from that, being the EVA in Kerbin's waters. Fair enough. Now, I think we do need to do a bit of debris tidying after that, so excuse the fact that I'm going into the tracking station here. And there's a bit of a bug here where I can't seem to recover the cupola, which somehow survived, but we managed to get it back. Wonderful. And I think we are all done. So, time for a bit of a redesign, I think. First things first, crew safety. Ironically, the launch tower almost got Mumrick killed. So I think it's fair to say that we're going to get rid of that for now. Just go back to the classic parachute on top of Mystery Goo design. Secondly, I think we need some more boosters. Not just more boosters, better boosters. As we are deciding on the kickbacks here. As we put some parachutes on those to double up as nose cones, so we might be able to recover them. Angle them outwards. It looks a little bit ugly, but as it stands, you know, function over form, right? I mean, we don't really have much of a choice. And I don't have anywhere to put any winglets, although I'm going to try and find somewhere to put them. On that note, we are coming up to the end of today's episode, so I would just like to say thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy this content, please feel free to like and subscribe for more KSP content, and I will see you in the next one.